Hi, welcome back to Soul Light Reflections. I hope that wherever you are right now, you have a moment to take some time for yourself while you listen to this to really tune in and just have that loving tenderness with yourself and holding space with me, and that we get to co-create a really beautiful experience right now. This episode is going to be pretty different, actually very different than anything that I have done before on an episode. For whatever reason, I was feeling really called to share some live channelings with you. Now, mind you, the only time that I do any sort of live channeling is when things come across from spirit when I am doing one-on-one client calls and client sessions in person. So this is a little bit vulnerable actually for me to be sharing this live on a podcast. And I don't even know necessarily what's supposed to come through. I don't really have a specific topic in mind right now, although I do have a full note list in my phone of topics that I want to talk about someday on this podcast. And I just keep thinking of more and more ideas. But then as that list keeps growing, I keep making podcast episodes with different topics that just feel resonant in the moment. And I am all about doing things when they feel resonant, when they feel important. So here we are on this episode. So before I allow these channelings to come through, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for holding space. Thank you for holding space for yourself. Thank you for having the commitment to growing into the individual that you are becoming, because the world needs you. The world needs a lot more people like you, like me, like us. And it's a really amazing thing that we get to do together, to level up, to live a more conscious and intentional life, to be the beacon of hope for other people so that they start to wake up and realize that life feels a lot better when you trust the process. Life feels a lot more flowy when you stop letting resistance take over all the time, and when you lead with love and that intention and compassion and gratitude and empathy for all things. So I have a cup of chai tea here with me. Now, anytime that I do intentional channelings, I set intentions with tea. It feels really important to set an intention before I go into a channeling, because I want to make sure that I am going to receive messages that are for my highest vibration and for your highest vibration. Now, I will say there are plenty of times when channelings come through that I wasn't necessarily expecting, such as when I'm at a festival or a rave or working with clients, and it just kind of comes through and I'm like, all right, as long as you're for my highest good, let's hear it. But this is different when it is me intentionally going into this space. And this is actually something that I am still learning to strengthen within myself, and also still learning to be comfortable with sharing this outwardly. Now, before we really get into the bulk of this episode, it feels so important for me to share with you the fact that Max, my fiance, and I run a company called Lucid Hydration, and I don't talk about it nearly enough. This is our company. It's not like some MLM or, a company that we work for. It is our company. It is a functional mushroom electrolyte powder that you mix with water. And so it comes in little single serve stick packs. And all you do is you take one stick and you mix it with 16 to 24 ounces of water, shake it up, and it is amazing. It's super refreshing, does not taste like mushrooms at all. It has no added sugar, no artificial ingredients or fillers or dyes, no caffeine. However, we like to think of it as your body takes what it needs from it, because it has 6 different functional mushrooms, 1,500 milligrams of mushrooms in there, not the trippy kind, don't worry. And then it also has adaptogenic nootropics, so ashwagandha, L-theanine, vitamin B12, as well as rhodiola rosea. And so it also has other added vitamins and minerals, and our electrolytes are from sea salt and coconut water powder, and potassium and magnesium. So with all of these ingredients together, it is so synergistic. Your body takes what it needs. There are so many benefits that I could list out, anything from immune function to helping with brain fog, helping with fatigue, clean energy without the caffeine. mental clarity, reducing anxiety and depression, and even more. So if you're curious to try it, go to www.lucidhydration.com and check out our brand. I would love to hear feedback. I would love for you to support our product, of course. And I'll even give you a little code. If you use code Rachel, Rachel, it'll give you 22% off. And our orders are always free shipping as well. So if you want to support me, then you gotta go check it out. And also, you're not only supporting us, you're supporting yourself, because your body and your brain will love this stuff. All right, so let's get into it. So right now I am going to simply set intention with my little mug of tea and say the same thing that I say with clients. And I feel called to say this out loud with you. Maybe this is something that you start utilizing in your own practice. I ask that my guides, my ancestors, my highest self be with me at this time to guide me. I ask that I see what I need to see, I feel what I need to feel, I hear what I need to hear. I ask that whatever comes through is for my highest intention, my highest good, my highest vibration. And I ask that any other energies or entities that attempt to come through that are not for my highest good, my highest intention, be sent to white light for healing. Thank you. And then I simply close my eyes and I hover my hands over the tea, and I just really feel into the energy of the tea, and I infuse the energy kind of back and forth between the tea and my being. I picture the energy flowing from my feet up through my legs, through my hips, my abdomen, my chest, my shoulders, down my arms, up through my neck, my head, all the way through the tippy top of my head, through my crown chakra, connecting to the universe, connecting down to the earth, and feeling all of that energy flowing between all things. And then I take a little sip of the tea to really lock it in, sipping in that intention. I'm one of those people that needs my tea piping hot. It is how I like it. And I just got this desk mug warmer that sits on my desk, and I thought I wouldn't use it, but I am obsessed with this thing. I'm like, how have I lived so long without this? Because every time I'm on calls, it's just so nice to have a warm mug of tea the whole time. Okay, so like I said, I don't really know exactly what kind of channelings are meant to come through right now, but I did feel called to pull out this oracle deck. This is the Sacred Earth Oracle, and this is a deck that I've had for oh my gosh, I don't even know. This was my first oracle deck ever, and I think I've had it for 8 or 9 years at this point. So I'm just going to shuffle it real fast. I'm actually feeling called not to shuffle it, so I'm not going to shuffle it. But I am going to spread out the cards a little bit and just kind of feel into which one feels resonant that I need to pull. And if it's more than one, then it'll be more than one. Ooh, repetition. Okay, so the Sacred Earth Oracle deck is so beautiful. The artwork on every single page, I just get chills. What's funny about pulling this card is they're all face down when I was going through them, and I kind of feel into whatever one pops out at me. I'm getting chills just looking at this. First of all, intuition on point. I felt that it was going to be green and blue, and that is exactly what is all over this card. It's beautiful. I wish you could see it right now. Maybe I'll post it on my Instagram page so you guys can see after you listen to this episode. The word on this oracle card is repetition. And there is a lot of artwork on here. There is artwork of the moon phases that kind of look like eyeballs, interestingly, from different angles. There is a woman in the middle with beautiful long hair that turns into these geometric patterns. There are 4 horses that are running on the card in different areas. There is a big moon around the woman in the center, and then there's another woman off to the side who looks a little bit sorrowful. She looks like she might be grieving. She is white with long flowy blue hair. Like I said, the primary colors on this card are greens and blues, but there's little pops of orange and yellow and white on here. The woman in the middle is kind of looking down, and she looks very solemn. She looks like she's pondering something, like she's very intently focused on something. And at the same time, there's a sense of peace about her. And then in the bottom center of the card, there is this beautiful, like, tribal looking wheel with 3 spirals in it and some flames coming off of it as if it's partially the sun. Just an absolutely beautiful card here. So now I have my little Oracle guidebook, and I'm going to read to you what it says. Now, this guidebook gives you both an earthly meaning and a spiritual meaning, and then it gives insight, which is kind of cool. So I'll read that earthly meaning first. It says, a sense that history is somehow repeating, a chance to do things differently, and perhaps secure a better outcome. To work with or break a cycle, you need to recognize it. Release stress, tension, or anger before it builds into a storm. It may be necessary to walk away from a challenging personality. Difficulty breaking a habit or pattern of thinking. Establish a positive routine. And then the spiritual meaning says, through infinite cycles of life, death, and rebirth, our souls stretch into timeless repetition. All the while, your thoughts and actions draw from the past and feed into your future. The journey repeats as often as needed. There is no rushing through to the end. The cycle can be broken through wisdom, through detachment, through a memory of the sacred, through a return to oneness. And then it gives a little insight into like why that is the earthly meaning and the spiritual meaning of repetition. So it says, in the heavens, in the earth, in societies, in relationship, in behaviors, repeating occurrences are everywhere. There are places where hot, dry months roll into a buildup that breaks into the monsoon season on a repeating cycle of dry, heat, and flood. The monsoons will come again, bringing rain for crops, but maybe also upheaval and disease. For the peoples who live in monsoon climates, this is the way life is. For an outsider, the cycle might seem extreme, but the residents are accustomed to the heat, the humidity, and the wet. The relative ease, comfort, and stability of more moderate weather cycles may be unknown and unfathomable to them. Cycles exist in our lives in so many ways. Once we fall into their circling reliability, it can be so hard to imagine life any other way. Adverse cycles do not need to be endlessly tolerated. Break the cycle and shift into something more comfortable. This is really beautiful, and this feels so resonant for where we are at in today's climate, especially in the United States. There's so much happening, and there is so much that the media is doing to keep us living in fear and to keep us divided so that they can continue to control us. The media, the government, the big corporations, everyone in cahoots to keep the smaller people small and dumb. And I think that this card and the meaning of it is just another reminder that things like this have happened before. Like, I don't need to get into crazy details, but a lot of people are comparing what's happening in the United States right now to what has happened in Europe, many, many years ago. And like during World War II. And I think this is just a reminder that although it is terrifying and horrible, so many things that are going on right now, it's not anything that humanity has not gotten through before, and that there will always be atrocities and traumas and really big experiences that shape who you are and how a country shows up. And there will still always be good in the world. And the fact that we need to shake things up in order for things to change, and shaking things up, I don't really feel like it's going to come from I don't know how to say this. It's not going to come from everyone rising up and rioting and stuff. It's going to come from each individual, especially within the genuine spiritual community. And I'm not talking about like the toxic spirituality of, do this, don't do that, like you're manifesting wrong. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about genuinely finding that light within and tuning into your guides and tuning into the intelligence of the universe and how interconnected every being is. Using that is going to be how we get through this, and finding true, genuine community, intentional community and spaces is how we're going to get through this time right now, and how we might even get through it stronger than ever, actually. So with that note, I'm going to see if anything specific channeling is going to come through. Sometimes my channelings come through in words that I hear. Sometimes it comes through in images. Sometimes it comes through in metaphors that you've heard many times on this podcast. So I'm just going to take a moment to tune in and see what specific messages are trying to come through. What keeps wanting to come through that I'm not necessarily fully understanding, so I'd like to ask Spirit for a little bit of guidance and clarity here. What keeps coming through is you are one. You are one. I think of one as a very solid number. We think of number one as priority. We think of number one as the winner. One is solid, is stable. And so in hearing you are one, it makes me think of the fact that you are whole. You are a whole being. You don't need anyone else to complete you. You don't need someone else to show you the pieces within. You just simply need to tune more into your inner being and let it shine and ignite more playfulness and ignite more joy. Now that seems like a blanket statement, but it's not. It's not a blanket statement. It is something that is truth. It is something that you need to uncover for yourself. It is something that you are meant to learn on your own. Play is something that makes you feel alive, is something that just lets you go, is something that makes you go and feel alive. Play is interconnectedness. Play lets us be instead of do. Play ignites our freedom. Play makes us see. Play makes us hear and feel in ways that we do not know how to tap into at all times, because we have been so conditioned by society, by life, by these experiences that are thrown onto us that we forget how to play. By choosing play, we choose to not look at fear. We choose to put everything else to the side. We choose ourselves. It is not important what they think. It is not important what they do. It is important that we be. It is important that we see. It is important that we feel. We are here together in this timeline. We are here together. How wonderful it is that we don't even have to try to do anything. We just get to be, and we just get to feel, and we just get to see. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but this is why it is important, is that we need to really make sure that we understand these are the reasons that we are here. When we feel, we believe. When we feel, we actually know. And then when we know, we get to be the beacon for other people. We get to show what is possible. Things are what they seem, but things are also not what they seem. And when they say that you can create your reality, they actually mean it. But so many of us don't know exactly how to tap into that. We try, and we don't know how to do, but it's because you're trying to do. It's because you need to be. Being is not just doing less. Being is to hold loving awareness. You have it all within. You don't need to seek. The light is always there. You can try to seek, and it's going to be slower. The more you tap in, the more you'll be guided. But you tap in by being, not by doing anything specific. Whoever tries to tell you there's one way to do so, turn the other way. Behind you is where the answers are, where there's no one else around, where it is you and your higher self and your guides who are here to love you. The time is here. It's important to know that you have it all within and to really, truly trust. It sounds cliche, but the trust is the answer. Tap into being before the thinking can get locked in. So this is one of those times where it feels like the channelings are done. There aren't very clear messages that are coming through at this exact moment anymore. And while usually it's very clear that the channel is closed, right now the channel still feels open, but I am not getting anything really clear that needs to come through. What is interesting to me about channeling is that I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. It just flows and goes, and half the time it's in written word and half the time it's in spoken word, and I just close my eyes and let it rip. And sometimes I'll do like a voice memo of it, or sometimes I'll have Max type it out, but it never ceases to amaze me that we have this lifeline to the universe, to our spirit guides, and that we can literally like basically call them up on the phone through this universal intelligence and be like, yo, what you got for me? And so my hope is that something that was said is resonant for you and was important for you to hear, and that you'll take it with you. I am really interested to go back in this recording and know what was said, because I have no clue. I just want to make sure that we got what we needed from this session. And so I am going to close my eyes and I ask that Source, Spirit, my higher self, my spirit guides, anyone who has my highest good and our highest intentions and good at heart, make it clear to me if there are any other messages that need to come through. And if there are, then please let them come through here and now so that I may share them with this community. I'm seeing red flowers. I don't know why, but they're really beautiful, kind of like poppies, I think. So I'm being shown red flowers here, kind of swaying in the wind. So apparently there are more messages to come through. I'm seeing someone on a stage. I can see them from the back on stage, and there's so many people in the audience, and it's just like you can't even see the back of the audience. It's just endless. And it feels like a reminder to know that you are always kind of on stage. People are paying attention to the things that you're doing, even when it might not seem like it. And that's why it's so important to lead with love and respect and kindness and empathy and compassion and gratitude at all times. And, we're humans, so there are times when those things are not going to come through in the highest light, but we have to try our best to come through as that highest self as much as possible in our daily lives, because people are paying attention, and we can't change people, but we can inspire change for people, and then they can make that happen themselves. I'm seeing the color yellow. I don't know why or who this resonates with, but the color yellow is coming through very strongly. It's bright, it's vibrant, it's happy, it's joyful. And at the same time, discernment, using discernment for the things that you are consuming, for the people that you're around, for the places that you are, for what your workplace feels like, for what your work feels like, for the food that you're eating, for all of these things. We need to continue to use more and more discernment, healthy and gracious discernment, not the kind of discernment that means that we start to build up resentment towards certain things. I ask if there's anything else that needs to come through, that it come through now. I think I know why I was seeing the yellow. I'm feeling my solar plexus. So it's feeling really important to tap into the energy of your solar plexus. Maybe it needs a little extra love, or maybe you're feeling like you haven't been able to truly express yourself in the way that feels aligned to where you're at right now. So maybe finding ways to tap into that, building the inner confidence a little bit, building up this energy center again, because for whatever reason, it has been affected in some way. So if you're not super familiar with the solar plexus chakra, it's associated with many different emotions. So the most common ones that people talk about for the solar plexus are self-esteem and confidence and happiness. And the biggest one that tends to come through for me is personal identity, is purpose, is your willpower. And so sometimes things can happen that can cause us to feel out of sync, feel out of tune. And so if you're feeling anything like fear of failure, low self-esteem, feeling stuck or indecisive, confusion of what you should be doing, maybe shame or rejection, having a hard time upholding personal boundaries, having physical issues, then it might be a sign that the solar plexus is needing a little bit of extra help. Your solar plexus is right around the area of your stomach, so it plays a really important role in how your stomach and your kidneys and your liver and your adrenal glands function. So if you're having any difficulty with any of those areas or anywhere in your stomach, that might be an indicator as well. Now, in order to tap further into your solar plexus and its needs, I highly recommend that you simply close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths and envision surrounding yourself with the colors yellow and gold. And maybe even like if you have some yellow crystals or you have a yellow shirt or something, like wearing that, holding that, take some deep breaths, repeat some positive affirmations. I am worthy. I release shame. I uphold personal boundaries. I trust myself. I express myself in ways that feel aligned with my higher self. These are ways that you can tune into unblocking, but also learning what your solar plexus needs right now in this part of your journey. And now I'm asking if there's anything else that needs to come through, that it come through now as a final little message. It's feeling important to share with you to have little moments of silence. Little moments of silence throughout your day. And I feel like we live in a world where a lot of people are diagnosed with like adult ADHD, and a lot of people are maybe not diagnosed but showing the same type of symptoms because we just live in a world where there's so much stimulation around us at all times, and we feel like we want to divide our attention to all of those different stimuli at the same time, and it's just not possible. So having little moments of silence throughout your day feels so important, and like it'll be really nourishing. And even if you take like 30 seconds at a time for dead silence, that feels really, really resonant right now. All right. I think that that's all that needs to come through right now. I hope that you were able to find what you needed out of this episode. Like I said, this is something totally different. If this is something that feels aligned for you, please reach out and tell me so that I can provide more of what it is that you need. I want this podcast to be something a little bit different. And my aim is actually that each episode is not like the next. Like, I don't want any two episodes to be too similar. And I'm really proud of the work that I do both on this podcast and outside of this podcast with retreats and in-person workshops, etc. Because I get to connect with people like you, and I get to shine a little bit of extra light into your day, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you so much for being here. I do want to mention that my fiance Max and I are hosting a wellness retreat with Festival Vibes in Ronald, Washington, which is about 90 minutes east of Seattle. It is from May 8th to the 12th, and it is going to be an intimate retreat of about 16 people or less. And during the day, it will be wellness vibes and lots of inner work. And then in the evenings, we will have festival vibes. So John Casey, who's an awesome DJ, will be there with us the whole time, as well as another special guest DJ. And they will be throwing down sets at night. We'll have things like ecstatic dance and all different kinds of surprises along the way. But during the day is when we'll do a lot of that really deep inner work to tap into your inner being, so that at night you get a chance to integrate and utilize those tools that you learned. So that the whole goal of this is for anyone who is really into music festivals or maybe adjacent and like has always been really curious about how music festivals can be so healing, get to come and learn tools as to how to be more intentional and conscious about your experience, or how to glean those really beautiful, sacred, spiritual parts that come from a festival. And we're doing it right before festival season so that you can go right into festival season like feeling so alive and ready to really integrate those tools into your experiences. So if this interests you, then just message me or email me, and I would love to give you more information. It's going to be incredible. It's a luxury stay. It's a luxury property. It is surrounded by trees. It is beautiful. And we'll have a private chef the whole time. You'll have your individual bed. We do have a couple of options for private king rooms. So if you have a friend you want to bring, then you need to reach out ASAP so that those aren't swooped up already. But anyway, I hope that you have a really beautiful rest of your day wherever you are. And we will talk next time. Until next time, keep shining, keep aligning.